A few days ago, CNN obtained a audio recording of Donald Trump talking about some classified documents, and the left thought this was the smoking gun, but it turns out it means absolutely nothing. And then comedian Roseanne Barr was on the Theo podcast, and the media absolutely freaked out over her comments that she made, but completely proved her point. Then lastly, a major case was struck down in the Supreme Court regarding the independent state legislator theory. I'll go over what that is and how it affects our elections and kind of just taking a deep dive into what that was. I'm Solo, this is a solo show. So, CNN released a tape where Trump was caught on recording, allegedly showing a classified document with details relating to a possible U.S. invasion plan of Iran. The document totally wins my case, Trump says in the audio. Trump purportedly pulled out the document while denying claims that Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Mark Milley spent the final days of the Donald Trump administration restraining the then president from attacking Iran. A source familiar with the matter told CBS that the document in question is not part of the charging document filed in the federal court in Florida earlier this month. The indictment charges Trump with 37 counts, including 31 counts of willfully retaining national security information. The 31 counts relating to national security information briefly and vaguely describes the underlying documents in question. The charges do not include one basis on the alleged Iran document that Trump spoke of in the recording, according to CBS News. So, the CNN and all the Democrats, all the libs thought this was the smoking gun that was officially going to put away our friend Donald Trump. And it turns out it has nothing to do with the indictment and is completely useless. It essentially was I wouldn't even say a cover. They were basically reporting that instead of the Hunter Biden whistleblower, where the WhatsApp messages were confirmed to be Hunter Biden. I know you guys remember me talking about that earlier this week. And this shows that they've done everything they can and thrown everything that they can at Donald Trump. And he has to be the cleanest politician there is, right? From 2016 to now, they've been throwing the book at him, trying to get him with a bunch of allegations, throwing impeachments at him, and he just does not go down. He genuinely must be the cleanest politician to ever live. Them attacking him is only making him stronger, matter of fact. A new poll from ABC News shows that after the indictment, Trump's numbers increased from 46% to 51%. And, they just cannot stop him. And I'm excited to see how the rest of this indictment's going to go. And what's the 2024 election going to hold for us? I'm pretty sure I posted on my Instagram that if they indicted, I said before the indictment that if they indicted Trump, it's only going to make him popular, and he's most likely going to be the primary nominee for the Republicans. And the only thing I'm worried about in that is how are the moderates going to react to this indictment from Trump? Because, of course, the Republican base is going to back Donald Trump even more now that the establishment is going after him. But I just wonder how that's going to take effect in the moderates. But if Joe Biden is which he's most likely going to be, the Democrat primary nominee, I wonder if the moderates are going to choose, because they're going to have to feel more. They're going to want a better economy because that's what something's going to play out in their life. It's not going to be the culture war that's going on. It's going to be economics. And I think they might swing to Trump, honestly. Anyway, so Roseanne Barr, who was a comedian on this past weekend, which is the Theo podcast named This Past Weekend. And she had a comment where she said, "Nobody died in the Holocaust. It should happen. 6 million Jews should die right now because they cause all the problems in the world." And what she was doing on this part of the podcast was she's making a point on how there's people who just believe in a bunch of bull crap and the truth lies on whoever controls the media. She was making a point in that and basically being very sarcastic. And if you watch the full video in context, you can see how sarcastic she is. She's like, "Oh yeah, she does that sarcastically." And then, it is crazy. And then the media completely proved her point. They reported the quote that I read a little bit earlier, "Nobody died in the Holocaust. It should happen. 6 million Jews should die right now." That Yeah, they just weren't reading the room. They reported on that. A bunch of libs were saying, oh, if she's a part of your party, maybe you're with the wrong party. And they absolutely freaked out when she literally made it a point. And, I mean, it is incredible how fast her point was proved. Let's see. Lastly, the Supreme Court ruled against North Carolina Republicans over election law theory. Excuse me. So, the election law theory emerged in 2000s with Gore and the other person slipped my mind. But it resurfaced again 3 years ago in a challenge by Pennsylvania Republicans to a ruling by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that, relying on the state constitution, extended the deadline for absentee ballots in November 2020 election. The justice rejected the group's requests to fast-track its challenge, but Alito, in an opinion joined by Thomas and Gorch, suggested that extension of the deadline to count ballots likely violated the Elections Clause. On Tuesday, a majority of the justices rejected the idea that the independent state legislator theory gives state legislators broad power over federal elections without any role for state courts in supervising the exercising of that power. So basically what happened in 2020, a bunch of the Supreme Courts in different states changed the election laws by extending the deadline for the 2020 elections, allowing basically changing the rules of the election. And the theory proposed by the GOP lawmakers believes that Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution gives state legislators the power to determine the times, place, and manner of federal elections. State and federal courts have no business reviewing state decisions in redistricting. So basically, the left will argue that these courts are just doing the checks and balances in America that we need, and it prevents things like gerrymandering from happening. But essentially, it is more the case of whether what the Constitution intends and what it means. So in the Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, it says it gives the state rights to the legislators. So the question here is, who are going to be the legislators? Who's going to be the ones to define the times, place, and the manner of these federal elections? Now, it should obviously be the legislators of the state, which would be like the assembly, state assembly, the state senators, and then the governor. It should not be the judicial the judicial courts that are just able to make up these laws with no reference to anything else and extending them. And yeah, that's basically what it was. I believe it was a 6-3 decision in rejecting it. What this kind of means for what this basically means for future elections is that if you hold the Supreme Court or the state courts power, you're basically able to alter the laws without any grounds to. And yeah, that's basically what happened in the Supreme Court ruling. That's all I have for today, guys. It's kind of a slow news week, honestly. But thank you guys for watching. Just go ahead and leave a like, share, and subscribe, and I'll go to see you guys tomorrow.